Okay, so we are here at the third pedestrian mobility and heat session. The first two, this is a new series, but not a new topic. The network is about a year and a half old, but we did start talking about issues of urban heat early on because it's such an issue for so many of us. And so we had the first mobility and heat session earlier this month. And we had several people joining from all over the world, network members from Brazil, Romania, Greece, Turkey, Germany, Bahrain, all of them, they're sharing about issues of urban heat from their community. And then we had the second session. Also on June 4th, we had another session with, I think, almost a dozen people. Again, very diverse group, several people from India, Iran, also several people from the US and Canada, Sri Lanka. So people from our network from all over the world are joining for this. And there's definitely a lot of interest to talk about issues of urban heat. And so basically we're planning on establishing this as a permanent series for the network, which means that it should be really diverse. So we might be continuing to have sessions like these, which are pretty basically conversational and allow people to join and sort of share what is bringing them to the meetings, what is their concern with urban heat, what's going on in their local communities. And as we get into it, of course, people are going to be sharing presentations or little, even just snapshots they're taking out. I've been encouraging people, oftentimes these network activities are mutually inspiring for us all. So people go out and see things with different perspective and start documenting different things. So bringing those to the meetings also. A lot of people in our network work with issues of urban heat. So exchanging, one of the best things about the network is exchanging ideas for solutions. We have in our network urban designers, architects, transportation planners, so obviously the solutions might differ a bit based on context, but I think for many people in the network, it's really interesting to see how other people in the network are working with solutions for urban heat or mitigations. And then of course, we're looking to welcome people to the network. So experts from around the world as well, who are working on solutions. So I think this would be a great time to go around and everybody who wants to can share what brought them to the meeting. And maybe, who you are. Some of you are meeting for this first time, so where you are, and then maybe a bit about urban heat. What is bringing you to this topic? And then when you're done, you can tag somebody you don't know, to go after you. So Laura, do you want to go first?
Hey everybody, I am in the United States. I am currently in South Carolina, but I'm sort of based in various places. And I work with active transportation primarily, and a lot of bums. And I am very excited in seeing that there are ways for people to understand that you can still exist outside, still do things without necessarily needing to be in climate controlled air conditioning 24 hours a day for 365 days a year. And that's a huge challenge here. And I posted recently that about the, I think I said it last time too, that when I was in Pittsburgh, it was like 60 degrees or 17 Celsius. And I was hearing so many air conditioning units. And then we were having conversations in the last call that I was on, where people are dealing with heat that's like 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and just is a little bit disturbing on that end. And so I want to learn from other people more than I have things to say.
You can go ahead and pick somebody, go after you. Pick somebody you don't know.
Oh, okay. This is my first time seeing Barb.
All right. Barb Chamberlain. I use she and her pronouns. I'm also based in the United States. I'm in Olympia, Washington, which is the state capital, and I work for our State Department of Transportation. I'm the director of our Active Transportation Division, so I kind of get up and eat this stuff for breakfast. Washington State geographically is really big. If you know about Seattle, you think of Washington as wet and rainy and kind of maritime cool temperatures, but it's a big geography, and we've had temperatures, I just looked up the table of record highs, a number of cities, especially in 2021 when we had a heat dome that just sat on top of the state, well into the 110 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures. People died because of the heat. And my concern around how we plan for active transportation is that the folks who are the most reliant on it are still going to be walking when it's really unsafe physically to be out in that kind of heat. And so what do we do with our design standards and our street tree practices and all of that to try to mitigate that for them? Highway engineers want to get rid of trees because you might run into them as a driver. So nope, if it makes them drive slower because they're afraid of running into trees, that's a good thing. So working on, I guess I'd say, design standards and policies around how to maintain the ability to use active transportation in really crushing heat. So crushing, some of our roads melted. So I don't know how often that happens elsewhere, but asphalt does actually melt and roads buckle. And with that, I will hand it off to Kruti.
Hi, I am a PhD student in Ottawa, Canada. I'm working on urban perception, like how perceived information is useful in the vocabulary using deep learning. So I don't actually know about this urban heat, but what I am right now doing, it's my preparing for my comprehensive and literature review. So according to me, like I can think over some of the topics like summer vocabulary, like when the people experience this urban heat and urban heat, and we contrary, we can also I can also think about the winter vocabulary. Then we cannot see any urban heat, and so what are the differences and what are the perceivedness that people feel. So I am reading some papers based on it. So I think this is it. And now I can choose the next person. It's Carrie, or I maybe.
Yes, thank you.
Pronunciation.
Or good afternoon here. Apologies, I've got about 8 minutes before I have to head to my next meeting, but I'm so glad to be a part of this cohort. I continue to learn something every time I tune in. It's lunchtime here on the East Coast in the US in Portland, Maine. So forgive me, I'm in the midst of eating before I head to a meeting. But I'm interested in the subject for a lot of reasons, some of which have already been covered. But as you may be able to tell from my accent, I'm not originally from Maine. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, where it is very, very hot, at least in the summer. Issues are very applicable to my hometown and the like. It doesn't get overly hot here in Maine, except for a handful of days. And as a Southerner, I often tell people, oh, it's not even that hot here, relatively speaking. So continue to look forward, and I'll catch the rest of this on the recording. I think that leaves Zibby, you're next.
Thanks, Carrie. Yes, I'm also, I live in Montreal. I've lived in Montreal the last 25 years, which is not often known as a hot place. Usually it's more the opposite, as a cold place. But we do get quite hot here as well. But I'm from Israel, which also has a lot of hot areas and a lot of concrete and very limited tree cover. So I'm interested in the general, how the built environment in general. And I used to travel a lot for work. So I've been in many hot places. I've been in the Emirates, and I've been in Malaysia and Pakistan and places like that. So I have an appreciation, I guess, for how the built environment how people adapt to it, I guess, or try to adapt to it, and how that impacts how we get around the things. And so it's just I guess in general, I guess you could say I'm a bit of an activist about streets as public space. So that's what motivates me. But I have a lot of experience in transportation modeling. Barb, I actually trained planners in Olympia at some point in Washington. I was often in Seattle, but I was in Olympia once or twice as well. So anyway, thank you. And I'm here to really learn, essentially. And I can share what's going on in Montreal a bit, but I'm not an expert. Actually, one of the things that is going on here, I don't know if it was mentioned, was the city's been doing a lot of misters, these little sort of like a sprinkler type thing that shoots off mist, and the city is starting to seem to be applying them in a lot of different areas, which is an interesting strategy, I guess, in places that have water. And like some friends have mentioned that. So anyway, that's all for me for now.
And then I think, Deepika, are you there, Deepika? Deepika?
Yeah, hi, I'm here.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm here. So, do I introduce myself?
Yep, we're just doing introductions.
Okay. So I'm a Delhi-based architect, and I'm a practicing architect with more than 38 years of experience, and my experience is both in India and in Nigeria. So I lived in Lagos for almost a decade, and I'm working on urban issues in Delhi with my local government representative. So yeah, that's about me. And issues of sustainable neighborhoods is one of the main concerns that I'm working on. So walkability is one of the topics.
Okay. I have a Miro board that we got started in the second session, but before going to that, do people want to share more from their areas a bit? Or I do want to have about 20 minutes on the board. So Laura, do you want to share about what you're typing? You're on mute.
I was just typing, like I had shared the image that I translated into Fahrenheit. And so I was explaining, I didn't mean maybe you'd seen my post about this, but that the original image had been shared a bunch. And so, and then, yeah, on Twitter, people from the States kept saying, I don't know what this Celsius means. I don't understand this. This doesn't mean anything to me. And I was like, it's really easy to find out. And then, so I decided I'll just make one. And then I had so much else to do, and I decided to procrastinate, make that, and then I lost it in my files for over a year. So I just recently refound it. So sorry, that's what I was typing.
No, that's
that.
But also about people who say that, I mean, I get it. Okay, I've lived in Europe for several years now, and I still think in Fahrenheit. And I think in Fahrenheit. But when people say I don't get it just because it's Celsius, well, if you have experienced that situation, I guess if you've only had the experience in walking in the above photos, streets devoid of trees and just and you don't know the difference, I guess that's one thing. But even just looking at it, I mean, I know atmospherically, I live it on a daily basis, passing through both conditions, and every single day feeling, whoa, the difference,
Yeah.
I remember walking through a parking lot several summers ago. It was just blazing hot day, and there was the park across the street. I was halfway across the street and could feel the blast of cool air. It's like, you don't have to be an expert to know these realities. I mean, we do want experts to help us understand better and understand how to reverse course, but I mean, every human has something to say about this who lives in a place that's hot, you know? So yeah, we definitely welcome people to the table in this network, even who aren't specifically working on these issues, but who have, I mean, I'm all about the stories, who have stories to tell, because I think those stories are also really important. Sad to say, but yeah, the stories of suffering too, of people on a daily basis, and things are just getting worse. So that's really the whole purpose of this series. It's okay. So I will share that Miro board too, because the Miro board is sort of a play place for us to start planning sessions. So I think I will just share that right now. One second. Does anybody else have anything they really want to share before I get the Miro board up? I mean, we can continue talking with the Miro board, but I might stop recording then. Okay, then I'm going to share the Miro board here. Does everybody have access? Who does?
I guess maybe could I throw in one thing really quickly?
Yeah, sure.
So people who have experience living in heat they understand really intimately the difference, I think. And people who are used to living in colder areas are now just really starting to understand the increase in heat and how great a difference the impact of street trees can be. And so I think it's going to become even more important every single day as it gets increasingly hotter. And so people from colder places are going to have to start to understand that more. And I was just talking with my London team this morning, and they said it's 30 Celsius there today, and everybody's turning pink. So yeah, the colder people are just not as colder weather people are not experienced, but will have to become so.
That's right. Yeah, and for the past several years, I've been living in cities in Sweden and Poland, and pretty much, and we've moved to multiple regions. And every place I go, the locals say, we used to have snow. You know, we used to, it's every single place I've gone. And we actually there's been snow, but it's like nothing. Everybody I'm talking to who's of a certain age says when I was growing up, it was 3 months solid, you know, winter. And the change is in our lifetime. So here we have, I don't know, some of you have been to this board before, right? So we have concerns. Also, if you have ideas for a new column, all this information will be transferred to a Google document. Future session ideas, this is where you get to pin down something you might want to develop and host on your own as well, because I mean, I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. I can't do all this by myself. And the idea is that this would be a really collaborative network thing. So if you were like, yeah, I would like to share something for my community, or I would like to share a project that I'm working on. Again, what I say too is network activities should benefit you, whether it's professionally or socially. Like if you're working on a project and you want some ideas, I think our network is a great place to do that. Deepika and I'm in a research group, Vibe. That's Deepika's research group, Women in Built Environment. If you want to share about that a second. And we were talking about these issues. And I mean, part of what we're doing too, when we're in these sessions, is thinking about urban heat is something that we're exploring in that group. So there's a lot of intersections, everything's interconnected. So please feel free. It is totally okay to say, I'm working on a project in my community. I would love to go to the network for some ideas. Like, to me, that's exactly the purpose of the network. So here are some future session ideas that then we'll be following up. We'll be following up with, we have a lot of great ideas for sessions here. We'll be following up with everybody. Deepika, did you want to share about Vibe a bit?
Yeah, so Vibe is a group that we formed of women in built environment. It's a global group. So I'm representing India, and I have a partner who's a young architect, Indian, but she works in Dubai. Expo City, and she's been there for almost 10 years now. Then we have another participant from Colombia, getting few more members from different countries. There's a young architect who's working in London, so she's going to be on the group as well. So we started this research on sustainable neighborhoods, where we have kept, the local issues as the variables, and the solutions we see from all over the world, all over the globe, people who want to participate. So that I and Anika were chatting and about, how we can raise this awareness around the globe. So what my suggestion was that, as I think you were talking about London going through 30 degrees Celsius, in Delhi at the moment, we have 42 degrees Celsius. So getting out of home it's a nightmare, because as an architect, you can't be sitting at home all the time. Unlike the COVID time when things were happening, everything was on Zoom. But now today, from morning till evening 6:30, I was just on the road. So you feel dehydrated, even in your air-conditioned cars. I carry my vitamin C bottle, the water bottle with vitamin C in it, and it's very hard, and you don't see a soul between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Not many people are out, and if you see them out, it's like a lot of people get heat stroke, and people who are walking, they walk with some, a damp cloth on their heads. They put a damp cloth on their heads so that they don't catch heat. And but nevertheless, Delhi is a beautiful city. I would like to share pictures in the coming sessions about how our roads are tree-lined. There are trees all over the roads. So it's not very difficult, but yet the temperatures are rising, and it's a nightmare. It becomes like a furnace, even though there are trees, but the air does not escape. With a large green cover also, that hot air does not escape. So that becomes like, hot air is trapped under the trees. So yeah, these are the issues which I thought that it would be nice if whoever wants to participate, like I would like to do that, go out, walk at 3 p.m., take a video of where I'm walking, take the video of a tree-lined pedestrian path and a pedestrian path where it's sunny. So then I feel that what difference does it make? And if all of us do it in our own time zones at the same time, maybe 3 p.m., that how your roads are designed, how your pedestrian paths are designed to, take that heat. So this was just an idea which I thought I shared with Anika. And another one was taking pictures, of course, and making a collage and connecting the dots of where the problems are, if they are similar, and what kind of solutions have been offered in certain cities or towns, and we could, take a cue from that. So that's it, Anika.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to stop recording here because we're just, I think, getting deep in the board here. I'll stop recording. Look forward to next session if you're listening.